Okay, so let's get into this. Usually when we talk about architecture, we're talking about, aesthetics, maybe some urban planning.
Right.
But today, we're talking about a structure that, um, honestly, it feels like it just shouldn't exist.
It really is an anomaly. It's a
Yeah.
building that pushes the laws of physics so hard that, well, the engineers had to practically invent new ways of thinking to keep it standing.
We are talking about the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. And before we get into the nuts and bolts, I just want to set the scene here. This is not just a tall building.
No, not at all.
It's a vertical city. It's over half a mile high. It's so tall, it actually, and this is the crazy part, it alters your perception of time.
And that sounds like an exaggeration, but it is literally true. You can watch the sunset from the base of the building, jump in an elevator, shoot to the top,
And watch it all over again.
and watch the sunset a second time.
Right.
You're physically moving upwards faster than the Earth's curvature makes the sun disappear.
That's the hook for me. We're dealing with something that kind of hacks reality. But the mission for this deep dive is to go beyond that postcard view. We've got engineering schematics, financial reports, labor audits.
All of it.
We need to understand how you build this thing on sand, in a desert, and the economic crash that almost killed it, and, the human cost that's often hidden behind all the glitter.
Exactly. It's a complete paradox, a triumph of mathematical genius, but born from a financial crisis and built by people earning, well, pennies. It's a very complicated legacy.
So let's start with just the scale. The stats are mind-boggling. Height to the tip is 829.8 meters,
That's 2,722 feet.
over half a mile.
And to put that into perspective, the previous tallest building was Taipei 101.
Yeah.
When we break height records, it's usually by, 10, 20 meters?
We inch our way up.
The Burj Khalifa beat the old record by over 300 meters.
It didn't just break the record, it completely shattered it. It's like a sprinter breaking the 100-meter dash record by 3 full seconds. It just doesn't make sense.
And it has 163 floors, all for about 1.5 billion US dollars. But that height creates problems that normal engineering just can't solve.
And this is where I want to dig in. Because my first thought, reading through the notes, was that the biggest challenge must be gravity. Just the sheer weight.
That's what everyone assumes.
But that's not it, is it?
Gravity is actually the easy part. We know how to handle vertical load. You just, add more concrete, stronger steel. The real enemy, the thing that keeps structural engineers up at night, is the wind.
At half a mile up, it's not just a breeze. It's a force of nature.
A dominant force.
Wow.
And it's not just the wind pushing against the building, it's how the wind moves around it. It creates something called vortex shedding.
Okay, break that down for us. Vortex shedding.
So imagine a big rock in a fast-moving river. As the water flows past, it creates these little whirlpools on the other side.
Right.
Those are vortices. And they peel off the rock in an alternating pattern, left, right, left, right.
And that creates a little push-pull motion.
A rhythmic force, exactly. And if that rhythm happens to match the natural sway of the building, its resonant frequency, you get a feedback loop. The swaying gets worse and worse and worse.
Like pushing a kid on a swing at just the right time.
Precisely. And in a skyscraper, that's a catastrophe. So Skidmore, Owings Merrill, the firm that designed it, had to figure out how to stop it. And you can't stop the wind.
Right. So what do?
You confuse it.
Confusing the wind. That was the phrase in the research that I just loved.
It's brilliant. The architects, Adrian Smith and the engineer Bill Baker, they designed the tower with what they call spiraling setbacks.
So it doesn't just go straight up. The shape changes.
Constantly. As you go up, the wings of the building step back at different heights. This means the wind never encounters the same shape for long enough to get organized.
So it can't find a rhythm.
The vortices get all scrambled, the wind tries to push, but the forces are just incoherent. It can't gang up on the structure.
And the result of that?
Is staggering. At the very top, 828 meters up, the tower only sways about 1.5 meters.
That is less than the length of a sofa in a windstorm. That's just wild.
And the base supports that. It's a buttressed core design. If you look at the floor plan, it's shaped like a Y.
I read it was inspired by a desert flower.
The hymenoculus, yep, that's the aesthetic part. But structurally, think of it like a camera tripod. There's a central hexagonal core, the spine, and 3 wings buttressing it. It makes it incredibly stable against twisting forces.
It's the evolution of an older design, right? From the Willis Tower in Chicago.
Right, the bundled tube designed by the legend Fazlur Khan. The Burj Khalifa's buttress core is the next generation of that idea. It lets you go higher with less material. In fact, it uses proportionally half the amount of steel as the Empire State Building.
Which is good, because getting that material up there must have been a nightmare. We have to talk about the concrete.
Oh, the concrete.
Reading about it, it sounded less like construction and more like a massive chemistry experiment.
It was a race against the elements. You're in Dubai. Temperatures can hit 50 degrees Celsius. That's 122 Fahrenheit.
And concrete generates its own heat when it sets.
It does. So you have hot concrete being poured in a super hot environment. It can cause a flash set. It hardens too fast. It cracks. It becomes brittle. Totally useless for a skyscraper.
So how do they cool it down?
They added ice.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
They literally put ice cubes in the concrete mixer.
Tons of it. They replaced a huge portion of the water in the mix with crushed ice, and they could only pour at night.
They became construction vampires.
Essentially, yes. At night, the temperature dropped a bit, humidity was higher, all the critical concrete work happened in the dark.
And pumping it. Half a mile straight up.
Another world record. Vertical concrete pumping to 606 meters, the 156th floor. The pressure in those pipes was insane. If one had burst, it would have been like a cannon going off.
But then, at floor 156, the concrete stops.
Yeah.
The top is all steel. And this brings us to my favorite kind of absurd fact about this building. The spire.
Ah, yes.
The spire. The very top of the building is this massive steel structure, 244 meters tall. It's over 800 feet.
Which, to be clear, is a skyscraper in its own right in many cities.
But it's empty.
It's what's known as vanity height.
Vanity height. It sounds so dismissive.
Well, it's a technical term, but yeah, it carries some weight. It's the distance between the highest floor you can actually use and the architectural top. And in the Burj, that top 244 meters is just there. For show.
And our research says if you took just that unusable spire and put it in Europe, it would be the 11th tallest building on the entire continent.
It really puts the ego of the project into perspective. It's there to secure the tallest title by an absolutely ridiculous margin. It's height for the sake of height.
And the irony of where the steel came from.
This is one of those historical details that feels scripted. A lot of the steel for that spire was recycled from the demolished Palace of the Republic in Berlin.
The old East German Parliament building.
The very seat of communism in East Germany. Torn down, melted, and shipped to Dubai to become the crown on the ultimate symbol of global capitalism.
The literal medal of communism crowning the world's most luxurious skyscraper. You couldn't make that up.
History has a strange sense of humor.
So, okay, the building is up, it's stable, it's got its vanity spire. Now let's go inside. Because living in a vertical city comes with some very weird side effects.
It starts with the elevators. There are 57 of them, fastest double-deck elevators in the world. They move at 10 meters per second.
That's about 22 miles per hour, straight up.
It's so fast, the pressure change is intense. Your ears would pop like you're on a plane taking off, but way faster, so they installed LCD screens inside.
A distraction.
A total distraction. They play these calming visuals and music. It's a psychological trick to make you ignore your exploding inner ear.
And then there's the cleaning. The windows. 24,000 of them.
In a desert, with sandstorms.
Keeping it clean seems like an impossible job.
It is a permanent, ongoing job. It
Yeah.
takes a crew of 36 workers 3 to 4 months to clean the entire building once.
And by the time they finish?
The top is dirty again. It is the definition of a Sisyphean task.
And for the spire, the machines can't get up there, right?
For the very top, it's old-school rope access, people in harnesses dangling 800 meters up, scrubbing the windows.
I cannot imagine that job. But living that high up creates even weirder problems.
Yeah.
You mentioned the sunset earlier, but it actually affects religious observance.
The Ramadan phenomenon, this is completely unique to the Burj Khalifa. Because the building is so tall, the sun literally sets later at the top than it does at the bottom.
So if you're on the ground, the sun is gone.
Yeah.
But if you're up on the 150th floor,
You can still see it. For you, it's still daytime. So the religious authorities in Dubai had to issue a specific ruling just for this building.
a fatwa for a skyscraper.
Pretty much. If you live on floors 80 to 150, you have to wait 2 extra minutes to break your fast. Above 150, it's 3 extra minutes.
That's just sci-fi. You're living in a vertical time zone.
It shows how a building like this literally disconnects you from the reality on the ground.
And speaking of reality on the ground, we have to shift gears. Because the engineering is one thing, but the context of when this was built is, well, it's everything.
The timeline is key. Construction started during this massive economic boom, but the building opened in January 2010.
Right after the 2008 global financial crisis.
And Dubai was hit incredible. A very public, very permanent reminder of who was really in charge.
And even with the name change, the building struggled. It was basically a ghost tower for a while, wasn't it?
Completely. Rents dropped by 40% in the first 10 months. A year after it opened, 825 of the 900 apartments were still empty.
825, that's so eerie.
It took until late 2012, almost 3 years, to hit 80% occupancy. So you had this glittering symbol on the outside, but inside it was just echoing empty space.
And while we're talking about the reality behind the glitter, we have to talk about who built it.
This is the most critical part of the story. The workforce was almost entirely migrant labor from South Asia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And the conditions were, to put it mildly, severe.
The pay rates we found were just shocking.
From 2006, at the peak of construction, a skilled carpenter was earning about £4.34 a day.
And a general laborer.
£2.84 a day to build the tallest structure in human history.
That's just staggering.
And beyond the pay, there were widespread reports of passport confiscation, trapping workers there. The housing camps were described as abysmal, overcrowded, and unsanitary.
The workers did push back, though. There was a riot.
Yes. In March 2006, about 2,500 workers just reached a breaking point over delayed buses and working conditions.
What happened?
They rioted, they smashed equipment, damaged offices, caused about £500,000 in damage. It was a massive release of built-up frustration.
And safety. The official death toll is suspicious.
The official report cites only one construction-related death.
One. On a project that massive.
That's the official number. But human rights groups argue that workplace deaths in the region are often misclassified. So the true human cost it's a huge question mark.
It's such a stark contrast.
Yeah.
The engineering marvel, the luxury, and then debt exploitation.
It's the central paradox of the building. And yet, for all that, it has become this global icon, this magnet for daredevils.
The stunts are just another level. If it's the tallest, someone has to jump off it.
The list of records is endless, but yeah, the base jumpers get the headlines.
The jump from the very, very top.
Vince Raffet and Fred Fugan in 2014. They built a platform on the absolute pinnacle of the spire, 828 meters up, and just leaped.
And then you have the climbers, Elaine Spider-Man Robert.
He climbed the outside of it in 2011. Now, he usually free solos, no ropes, but for the Burj, they legally made him use a harness.
I'm not sure that makes it look any easier.
Not at all. It still took him 6 hours. 6 hours of climbing up a hot glass building in the desert. It's an insane feat of endurance.
It really is the world's biggest lightning rod for attention, especially on New Year's Eve.
It's the largest LED illuminated facade in the world. The shows they put on are a spectacle designed to just scream, "Look at us! We are the center of the world."
So when we pull all of this together, the engineering, the vanity spire, the bailout, the human cost, what does the Burj Khalifa actually represent?
I think it represents ambition in its purest, most raw form.
Oh, you mean?
It shows what's possible when you push technology to its absolute limit. It's a technical masterpiece. What Bill Baker and that team did was, frankly, impossible. But it also represents the hubris of that era, the belief that bigger is always better, no matter the cost, financial or human. That vanity height, that empty spire is the perfect metaphor. It's reaching for the stars, but a huge piece of it is hollow.
So it leaves us with this final thought. Is the Burj Khalifa the pinnacle of human achievement? Or is it just the ultimate monument to ego? A giant needle in the desert built just to say, I'm the biggest.
I think the answer really depends on where you're standing. If you're looking at the labor reports, it's a tragedy.
But if you're standing on the observation deck,
if you're up there on a really clear day, you can look out across the Persian Gulf and you can actually see the shores of Iran. You're standing on a building in the UAE and seeing another country 100 miles away.
that is a view you cannot get anywhere else on this planet.
And in that moment, when you're looking at the curve of the Earth, it's hard not to feel like the engineering one.
A vertical city, a financial bailout, and a view of another country. That's the Burj Khalifa. You should definitely go look up photos from the top. It really does put the world in perspective. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.